Hello, everybody. I am Mary Kaye Holmes, and I am so delighted to talk to you today. This Comeback Champion Summit is absolutely phenomenal, and it's an honor to be able to speak to you today about being a comeback champion and to tell you how you can be a comeback champion and how you are a comeback champion. Thank you, Shay Brown, for this awesome opportunity and for this awesome platform, because this is what my life has really been all about. For a long time now, I have really been a testament to what it means to be, and what I call myself, a comeback queen. So this summit was perfect for me to be a part of, because I really dedicate a lot of my passion, a lot of my energy toward letting people know that you can bounce back from any setback, that there is no trauma, no situation in life that you can't come back from. And no matter what area of life we're talking about, whether it's in our personal lives, whether it's concerning business, relationships, whatever it is, our goals and our dreams and our happiness and success, life has a way of really knocking us down. Life has a way of making us feel as if, look, this is over. I don't think I can go any further. I don't think I can do this. Life just has a way of just, hitting you from left field and really just giving you a reality check. But what I'm here to tell you today is that every negative experience has an expiration date. I'm going to share with you a little bit about myself, a little bit of my story, to really give you an idea of why I am someone who can speak to you about what it means to come back, what it means to be a comeback champion. As I mentioned, my name is Mary Kaye Holmes. I'm an attorney. I'm a tax attorney, in-house counsel for a prestigious corporation in Manhattan, New York. And one thing that I have learned over the years is that life is not just a straight line to our destination. We don't just arrive somewhere haphazardly. Things happen along the way. And although I just told you I'm an attorney, you'll be surprised to know my background. You'll be surprised to know my history. So I'm going to tell you how I got from point A to point B. I wasn't always one who thought that I could achieve goals in life. I didn't think that I was even worth anything. I didn't think that I had anything worth accomplishing. I felt as if I was a person with no skills, no talents, no gifts. And at one point in my life, I was so down on myself and my self-esteem was so low, because I looked back from my childhood up until that point, and I saw nothing but one setback after another. And I really got discouraged. And so when I thought back to being 4 years old and going through traumatic experiences in my family, for example, being molested at 4, 5, and 6, and it continuing throughout my childhood, and then getting to the point where I was 14 years old and pregnant because I was so promiscuous and really just trying to find love in all the wrong places, as they say. And things got really traumatic for me in my teenage years when I was 15 years old. And I met a man who was 21 years older than I was, a 36-year-old man. And that man, he abused me and caused me to go through all types of violent, abuse and all of these things for 7 years. And I escaped from that relationship 2 children later, 7 years later, and I came out damaged. I was so damaged, I didn't know if life was worth living. My self-esteem was shot. I felt as if there was no more out there for me. I felt as if life had just handed me such a bad hand. And I felt as if no one would love me, no one would care for me. I felt like everyone was just out to hurt me. I was damaged. I was traumatized. It was at a point where I felt there was no way out but to escape this life and commit suicide. I attempted suicide more times than I can count. Depression really just had me gripped to the point where I didn't even want to get out of the bed some days. I saw no purpose in life. I didn't see any way out of that situation. But things began to turn when I found out that there was something in me that desired to move forward in life. I desired to achieve higher education. Although all I had was my high school diploma, I went back and I re-enrolled in college and I started taking courses. And even if I just took 1 or 2 classes a semester, I was determined to make something of my life. I felt as if this was all I had. Education was going to be my escape from poverty, but not only escape from poverty, but it was going to be my escape from going through life just being a victim. I wanted to take charge of my destiny. I wanted to take control of my future. I wanted to be there for my children. I wanted to set a positive example for them. I wanted to be able to not only set that positive example, but be able to leave a legacy. I wanted to change the course of not only my life, but theirs as well. So after all of those years of abuse, after the low self-esteem, the depression, the suicide attempts, and re-enrolling in college, I kept going. I kept persevering. Even when times got so difficult, working full-time, being a single mother, and not only that, but just taking care of all the different areas of my life that I could. My mother got sick at some point, and I began to tend to her needs, but I just kept pressing forward. And I stayed in school because education was my key, my way out. And that's the first point that I want to share with you today, is that you have to have a sense of purpose. You have to be able to hold on to something that's greater than yourself. There has to be something that you're striving towards, something that you're pushing for, something that you have in your sights. You have to have something that you can pinpoint and focus on and say, this is where I'm headed. This is what I want in life. I went from not knowing what I wanted in life to saying, at least I will get my degree. At least I will attain my education. And that's what I held on to at that point. So whatever it is for you, whatever it is that your goal is, whatever it is that you can set your sights on it, because that's going to keep you focused. That's what's going to keep you putting one foot in front of the other to keep moving forward to your destiny. And so that sense of purpose that you have is going to keep you anchored in life. It's going to help you to navigate your way through life's storms. It's going to help you to get through the tests of life and the setbacks. Because as I said, life can sometimes just deal you a bad hand. You'll go through things and it will feel like you're on a roller coaster ride. And this is something that stabilized me, was my education. And so I stayed in school and I got my associate's degree. And I was so excited about getting my associate's degree. And it gave me the extra push to go a step further and go ahead and enroll to get my undergraduate degree. And so I kept going, and I kept going to the point where I graduated with my bachelor's degree, as you can imagine. I graduated with a sense of purpose, and I said, okay, I have my bachelor's in psychology. Now I can decide to not only apply to law school, but I can also think about other options. I was thinking about getting my master's in social work and my JD at the same time. And so I applied to one of the schools, one of the only law schools that offered it. And this is where my life took a turn, where after all of the years of pushing and trying to go higher and finally seeing my way out, life, just dealt me a devastating blow. I applied to the law school that offered that master's in social work and that JD, and I got accepted. Not only did I get accepted, but I was offered a full ride, a full scholarship that covered every single year of my attendance, as long as I stayed enrolled in that school, regardless of my GPA. The law school accepted me. I was excited. I was celebrating. And I realized at some point that, wow, I got into law school, but I did it with a criminal record. I want to say that again to somebody that did not catch that. I got into law school with a criminal record. I was someone who had made some bad decisions based on the trauma that I had experienced, based on some of the setbacks that I had experienced in life. I had made some really terrible decisions. And to make a long story short, I wound up in prison. And because I wound up in prison, of course, I had a criminal record. And I had a lengthy criminal record because it wasn't the first time I had landed myself in trouble. And so when I applied to law school, I got accepted with all of that baggage. But I made one little adjustment to my law school file to just explain a little bit further about one of the things that was on my record, because I didn't want to have any issues when it came time to apply for the bar after I finished law school. The last thing you want is to go through 3 years of law school, get to the end of the line, go to the point where you're applying to the bar and have something come up to haunt you, and then everything is just, the rug is just pulled out from under you. And that's what I was trying to avoid. So I just wanted to clarify one thing that was on my record. And when I did that, the law school took another look at my application. And although everything was disclosed up front, it made them take a second look. And they not only rescinded my scholarship, but they rescinded the offer of acceptance. So you can imagine the level of rejection that I felt. You can imagine the level of disappointment, the heartbreak, after going through all that I had gone through to get to this stage in life, to what I thought was finally my way out, was my big blessing, my biggest blessing up until that point, outside of my two boys. I had the rug ripped out from me under again. Once again, I felt the sting of rejection. Once again, I felt that familiar feeling of disappointment in life. And so, you know what? I cried. I was disappointed. I was heartbroken. I was crushed. And I said to myself, I can either pursue other options at this point, or I can keep pressing forward. I had to stick to my dream. And this is what the second point that I want to make to you. If you want to be a comeback champion, you have to write the vision and make it plain. You have to see it in order for you to accomplish it. You have to see it written out in front of you. You've got to know what you're going for. You have to be able to write it out so that when you lose your way, you can get back to that internal GPS that's on the inside of every one of us that's telling us our life's purpose. There's something that's inside of us that's pushing us toward our destiny. And there are things in life that will cause us to be sidetracked from those things. We have to find our way back. And I had to stop second guessing myself at that point. And I had to write out what it is that I wanted in life. Yes, I wanted to be an attorney. No, I wasn't going to settle for anything less. Yes, I wanted to go to law school. So you know what I did? I found another law school to apply to. I printed out pictures of that law school. I had never stepped foot on that campus. I printed out pictures I found online of the classrooms with professors teaching. And I put those things on the side of my bookcase in the office so that every time I went in there to study, or every time I went into that office, I would look at those pictures. I would see where I was headed. I knew that that's where I was going. And so on the day of the deadline, on the absolute day of the deadline, just before midnight, I submitted the application to New York Law School. And when I submitted that application by faith, I knew that this was the school I was going to attend. So a couple of weeks went by, a month went by, and finally I got an email asking me to select my housing options for New York Law School. And I said, I didn't even get a letter of acceptance. What do they mean, pick out my housing choice? So I checked the status of my application. Not only was I accepted, but they offered me a scholarship as well. And so I was so excited because this was the turnaround that I was expecting. This wasn't just a turnaround I was hoping for, but this was the turnaround I was expecting. I expected it to happen, and I looked for it to happen. I knew that somehow, some way, I would not only go to law school, but that I would be a lawyer in spite of my criminal background, in spite of being abused, in spite of the domestic violence that I had to endure, in spite of the years of trauma, in spite of all of the times that I looked at myself and I didn't see any worth. I didn't see any value. At this point, there was a turnaround. I knew where I was headed because I wrote out that vision. I made it plain. I printed out pictures. They say pictures are worth 1,000 words. So while I can write out the vision in words, I had to see it. I had to see it in front of me, and it had to be so clear, and it had to be so in my focus and in my viewpoint that there was nothing else, there was no other option that was going to stop me from getting to where I needed to go. And this brings me to my final point that I want to make to you. It has to be some determination on the inside of you. There has to be some grit on the inside of you that causes you to press forward. When times get hard in your life, you can't give up on your goals. You can't give up on your dreams. You can't let the setbacks keep you from bouncing back. See, that's what a comeback champion does. When the times get tough, determination and grit kicks in and keeps you moving forward. There were some times in my life, as I mentioned, that I truly wanted to give up. I want to tell you a quick story about a time throughout law school where I really just was determined. I was so determined to persevere that there was no negative experience that could stop me from doing everything that I wanted to do, not just graduate from law school, not just get through each semester, because law school can really knock you down and give you a reality check to the point where you're not just trying to graduate, you're trying to make it through the semester. You're just trying to get through the week. You're just trying to get through that final. And so law school was difficult and it was challenging, yes. But let me tell you about the things that I did during law school. I had other goals that I wanted to meet because I had so many setbacks in life. I was making up for lost time. There were so many things that I had neglected to do because of the low self-esteem. There were so many things I put aside because I was a single mother and I had no other room to follow after my goals and my dreams. There were some times where I put things aside because I was just in survival mode. So I was making up for lost time. And there were some things that I wanted to do. For example, I wanted to write my life story. I wanted to publish my memoir, but I was too nervous about what my family would say. I was too nervous about telling all of the details of my life, the criminal background, the abusive relationship, the background where I was out there in the streets being pimped and human trafficked. And all of these things that I had gone through, I wasn't sure if I was ready to disclose all of these details. All of these traumatic experiences, they had haunted me for so long, but I knew I wanted to take ownership of my story. I wanted to be the person. I wanted to be the voice behind my story. I didn't want someone else telling my story for me. And so I was determined to publish my memoir. Why did I have to do it during law school? Well, I can't tell you why I had to do it then, but I knew something in me was pushing to get my story out, not only before I graduated law school, but in my first year of law school. Now, anyone who's gone to law school or any other higher education, it doesn't matter. They can tell you that that first semester can sometimes is usually the most challenging. And in law school, it's no different. In law school, your first semester, your first year is really crucial. It is so crucial to not only your long-term career, but your law school career as well. And so you have to focus. You have to be in tune with what's going on. You can't really have too many distractions. In fact, they made me sign a contract before even enrolling in law school that I would not work more than part-time during my years in law school. But listen, I was determined to write my book. At this point in my life, I said, I'm ready. And although I was in the middle of studying, I had midterms, I had finals to prepare for, I started writing my book. I started writing my memoir because I needed to heal. Before I could take any step further, I needed to get this out of my system. I needed to tell my story. I needed to open up my mouth so that I could heal and get all of what had been building up, all of the things that had been building up on the inside of me, those things that I had been holding in, those things that I've been holding on to, the burden that was on my shoulders. I knew there was a weight that had to lift in order for me to make it through the next 3 years of my life. And so I wrote that book during my first semester of law school. I published that book during my first semester of law school. And before I was finished with law school, guess what? I had published 2 more books. And so by the time I graduated, I had published 3 books before I walked across that stage at my graduation ceremony. And not only that, but I published a magazine. I became a magazine publisher called Style and Grace, nationally distributed. My first interview was none other than CNN's Van Jones. And through my connection with him, I also became involved with criminal justice reform. And I became involved with Cut 50, which is a criminal justice bipartisan organization that is geared toward, and the goal is to cut the prison population in half. We have a mission that we have been on, and it has caused me to travel this country, speaking and telling my story, not only telling my story, but inspiring others that no matter what you've gone through in life, you are bigger than your worst mistake. You are greater than anything that you've done in life, and that everyone deserves a second chance. I am what a second chance looks like. And when I graduated from law school, I took the bar, I passed the bar on the first time, and now I work as in-house counsel, fresh out of law school, in-house tax counsel for one of the biggest insurance and investment corporations in New York City and across this globe. I'm telling you all of this because I want you to know that every negative experience has an expiration date. No matter what you're going through in life, no matter what you've had to endure, no matter what you have gone through that has knocked you on your back, that has knocked you off your feet, that has caused you to have some bumps and some bruises, and your life has gone through some twists and some turns, it's all temporary. I can tell you from experience, because with all the things that I've gone through, nothing lasts forever. Nothing lingered to the point where it kept me from pursuing my dreams. Every no that you experience, it's really a not yet. You can make it happen, because if there's something you want to go after in life, like I said, determination and grit will get you there. You have to be so determined to make your goals a reality, to make your dreams a reality, that every no that you experience, every shut door in your face, you have to know that the no is a not yet. It's just not time yet. So you have to put in the work. You have to put in the grit. You have to put in the effort. You have to put that faith in. You have to speak to yourself, speak to your mind, and tell yourself that you are somebody, that you will come back from this setback, that you will make it. You will be a success. You have to also learn that every loss is really a lesson. Every loss is really a lesson. So whether you win or lose, you're still a champion. Whether you win or lose, you are still a champion if you learn from the losses. Come on, when you get to the point where you learn from those losses, you never lose again. You will never lose again. Everything is a win. Every experience I can use and I can learn something, no matter whether it's good or bad. I can use it to my advantage. That's what I did in life. Now, when I go out and I speak, my criminal record, it's not something that's a hindrance to me anymore. It's actually valuable. It's actually an asset, because I can relate to somebody and I can tell someone who's fresh out of prison, someone who's still in prison, somebody who's headed to prison, somebody who's on parole. I can speak to them and I can speak life into them. So my experiences in life, they are no longer a burden to me. They're no longer a setback. They're no longer a hindrance. Now I can help people because of my story. Now I can help people because I've been through some things in life that used to embarrass me. The things that I used to be ashamed of, I can speak boldly about. I can talk about them in a way that not only builds me up and it builds it builds my self-esteem, but I can build others' self-esteem and let them know that you might have gone through some things in life. You might have experienced some trauma. You might have made some bad decisions, but you can bounce back. You might have been some places and you might have done some things that have caused your business to go under. You might have lost the money. Your finances might be depleted. You might have made some poor business choices. You might have lost some business relationships, some connections. You might have passed up on some great opportunities. Don't linger in the losses. Get to the point where you learn from them and allow them to cause you to go further. Allow them to cause you to be propelled further into your destiny. Use them to your advantage. And that's exactly what I did. Now, when I speak about my past, it's not with my head down. I have my head up and I can tell people, yes, you can be an attorney with a criminal record. Yes, you can be hired. I know I got a lot of rescissions when I was going for jobs here and there before law school. But let me tell you this. When I got out of law school, and even when I was in law school, every job I applied for, I was offered the position in spite of my record. Now, before law school, I cannot tell you how many times offers have been snatched from me, or they said, I'm sorry, we cannot hire you because of your background. But once I got to my destiny, once I was where I was supposed to be, I got accepted in my field. Because listen, if I had been offered those positions, these great positions that I applied for before law school, who knows? Maybe I would have gotten comfortable where I was. Maybe I would have gotten comfortable in that yes. Maybe I would have found myself in a field I didn't belong. That wasn't my destiny. That wasn't my passion. That wasn't a part of my dream or my vision. But I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. And now nothing can stop me. Not my past, not anything. No negative experience, no setback can cause me from going forward and moving further into my destiny. And the same applies for you. And I'm telling you from experience. So remember, you are a comeback champion. And as Shay Brown always says, today is your January 1st. You can start over again. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Mary Kaye Holmes. You can follow me on all social media channels at Mary Kaye Holmes, or you can find me on my website, marykayholmes.com. Thank you so much for listening. You can also purchase my book on Amazon, Stripped: A Journey from Rejection to Redemption. Thank you so much for listening.